Good day, everybody. Ken coming at you from CMX Powersports. I got real amped up last night. It snowed here for the first time. So I thought, what better time than to put out a video for the new Arctic Cat 858 Alpha Mountain Sled. I got Randy here with me. He's kind of the expert in the store on these sleds, and he's going to run us through some things on this sled. So let's get at her. What do you think of this sled, Ranner?
Oh, it's fantastic. We were waiting a long time for this sled. The 600 came out last year. 600's was a great machine, but a little underpowered for some of us bigger guys.
You had the opportunity to ride that though.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
and you liked the Catalyst platform?
Yeah, fantastic. So easy to ride. Transitions to a side hill twice as easy as our old Ascender chassis did.
Yeah.
More of a rider input. Just all you got to do is roll your body, turn your shoulders, and
I heard you can ride this thing in the neutral position all day.
Yeah.
And the side hilling and everything, you just stay in the neutral position and you're good.
Yeah.
One of the videos that I watched in research.
Yeah, no, and this year also they came with our new G8 display. Arctic Cat partnered with Garmin to come out with a GPS display. But it's more than that. It also communicates to other riders through a Bluetooth headset. Cool. You can add a microphone as well. Some people don't want to have a headset in their phone, so when you're trying to find your buddies, you just pop open the goggle heater, pull your mic out. Hey, where's everybody at? So easy to track guys down that way.
I noticed something, just as not as much of an avid sled guy as you guys are, but I thought that this was really cool. And I don't think it's new technology by any means, but the fact that they went ahead and vented this goggle compartment right into the engine compartment. You can warm up your goggles and your gloves and everything else. To me, that just seems really cool. And I don't think it's new on the market by any means, but I just thought it's cool that they did it.
Yeah, most manufacturers have something somewhere, but the ease of access of that one up there, and probably the biggest thing is not even goggles so much anymore, is it's your phone. You know, you take your iPhone outside and it gets cold, you lose your battery so fast, and your phone can be your lifeline out on the mountains, you know, for your way home. So in there's also a 12-volt charging port in there too, so you put your phone in there, you plug it in, and you got battery power the whole day, no problem.
You're not dying.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were telling me some stuff about the placement of the engine on this sled, which on the videos and stuff that I've watched and all that, it makes a really big difference, and it's a key component in how this sled is balanced and how this sled rides. Tell us a little bit about the placement of that motor and what they did.
So a lot of people were disappointed with how long it took Arctic Cat to come with this sled. They kept saying a year ago, the Ascender chassis is outdated, we need a new chassis, where is it at? But Arctic Cat had a lot of things that they had to pack into this chassis, and to do that it took a lot of time. They had to redesign the engine. This motor has no motor mounts. I don't know, any motor you've ever seen in the past attaches to a motor mount. They took the motor mounts out, put that right into the motor. So what they did is, you can see how this sled kind of has that kind of an angle to it. They took the motor and they laid it down. So instead of your motor sitting in here with all its weight up top here, they laid it down and put that weight back into the middle of the chassis. And what that does to the snowmobile is, everybody in the mountains, their big concern is weight. So everybody wants to be the lightest, most flickable sled they can be. And weight is a number, and it's a feeling. And what that motor, laying that motor back, did is created such a centered weight right in here where you want it.
Right where you're riding.
Yeah, where you're riding. So your body is up over that weight now, and you got so much more control of that snowmobile. To my knowledge, Cat is the only snowmobile in the world that laid the motor back. Most motors intake on this side and exhaust on that side. Cat intakes and exhausts on the same side of the motor, and that's what allowed them to lay that motor back down into that chassis.
Again, the R&D and time that went into that, we were all chomping at the bit for this sled to come out. You know, we're sitting here as dealers and everything else, customers, all of it. We're all just chomping at the bit. This sled's got to come out, the sled's got to come out. But once it got here, I think we collectively agreed that it was worth the wait, because the innovations that they've done with this sled, you know, I've heard guys saying this sled is going to ride or beat anything out there with the power to weight ratio and the balance that it has, and how fast, as Randy said, you can flick it around. I'm kind of amazed watching the videos so far. I'm looking forward to getting some of our own footage on it. But what else can you tell us here, Randy?
The other thing Cat did that was unique to any other manufacturer is, instead of going to an 850 board sled with bigger pistons, more weight, and all that other stuff. Cat stayed with their 800 C-Tech motor and stroked it.
Oh yeah.
So they got the 858 displacement by stroking it rather than by making things bigger. So by doing that, they were able to keep the whole chassis this way narrower too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and keeping it light.
Yeah.
So and the Alpha Rail, everybody knows about the Alpha Rail now.
Yeah, and that's the other thing with weight. When you ride a twin rail snowmobile in the mountains, they pack all that ice and weight in there.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to say my snowmobile is light sitting here on a piece of cement, but when you get up in the mountains and you pack all that snow and ice in there, the Alpha Rail doesn't do that. You can see the Alpha Rail on the side here. It's a unit, one rail up the middle instead of the two on the outside that create like
it's like a drag.
Yeah, well,
it creates a big dam of snow.
Yeah, they create a tray in there for all that snow to pack in there.
Yeah.
Where the Alpha Rail allows all the snow to fall out. So true world functioning, that sled is so much lighter.
Well, you can see that in the videos, and you know, I always kind of go back to power sports because that's my expertise. But when power sports, you want a tire that cleans out the mud real fast.
Exactly.
Same thing on a sled. And when you see this sled rip on the mountain, and you see the snow, and the guys are out there with their dual rail, and they're cruising along, you can see all the snow packed up in it. This, as soon as you stab the throttle on this sled, all that snow flies out of the track, and you don't have that weight. So you're literally floating on clouds when you ride this thing.
Yeah, it clears the snow really well.
Yeah.
Arctic Cat also came with their new attach system. So you pull these back and it allows you access to those, and you can put bags on here.
Yeah.
They haven't got a jerry can yet, unfortunately. That's just a regulation thing. When you carry fuel, you have to have, you have to be a little more legal than just carrying.
But super handy for that to be able to click on, click off.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right?
Yeah, or even during the day when you're going to go have lunch. You're going into the cabin to have lunch. It's a couple of buttons, off it comes. You go inside and you got all your lunch right there. Yeah.
I like it. I really like what they've done with the sled. I was super happy with it when it showed up. You know, these sleds are super sexy. Let's be honest. When you're on the mountain and all your buddies are out there and you've got something like this that you're swinging your leg over, everybody's going to be looking at it because it's new, it's different, and it's wonderful.
The other thing Cat did is they recognized it's a machine, it's going to break. Yeah. So the one thing they did is they came up with a way to get the panels and the hood and everything off without a screwdriver.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all just, you twist this little kind of like a hood latch thing here. There's two connectors there. It comes off, one connector, and it's off and in your hands. So it doesn't seem like a big deal.
Super easy. No, well, it's not a big deal until it is.
But if you haven't got tools, it's a big deal.
Not a big deal until it is.
Yeah.
So let's do this. We'll take a minute here, guys. We're going to take the skins off of this. Probably take us about 45 seconds. We'll open it up, and then we'll come back and we'll show you what it looks like inside. Okay, guys, so we're back. Randy and I just pulled the panels off of this, and it literally did take us about 45 seconds. I've never pulled the panels off of these before, and this was super easy.
Yeah.
It was literally clip, clip, clip. Disclaimer, when you're pulling your hood off, don't yank too hard because there is a wiring harness here that hooks right into your dash. Super easy to unhook though. You just push the tab down and unhook the connector. Now, Randy, you got some cool things to talk about under the hood here. So
one thing I want to talk about is the new adaptive clutch, and Cat came out with that in 2022, I think it was. And part of it is you can see the width of that clutch is really small. So a normal clutch is going to be about that wide. Cat narrowed it down to that wide, and part of that was to bring the whole chassis in and make it narrow. That clutch has been super reliable. We have no trouble with that clutch at all, so really pleased with that aspect. The other thing they did is because this hood was so easy to get off, in the past we've had belt holders that ride on there, and as you can see, that's your exhaust pipe right there. So that belt's sitting there with all that heat, and it was creating some troubles with the belts. So
yeah, I could see that.
Cat designed a nice little belt holder in that hood. So
right in the dash.
And pretty much if you're going to be changing a belt, you're pulling the hood anyway. So
yeah. So the whole idea is in keeping with that nice, thin, compact, light design, especially with those clutches. And I know that there's some people out there that'll say, well, the first media release, The thing to keep in mind is I've done a bunch of research on that after I watched the first media releases because there was some, it's not powerful enough and it had throttly issues. But what a lot of people don't realize, and I'm just gonna pass on from some videos that I watched, is those were the very first run not tested sleds. So Cat hadn't calibrated their clutches, they hadn't calibrated their mapping. I rewatched the real-time rides in the mountains on these after they had the opportunity to do that. And man, the review guys were just, it was night and day.
Yeah.
They said this thing's gonna run beside anything on the mountain and keep up with it or pass it after it was properly mapped and everything else. I think Cat had some pressure to release early.
Yes.
So after they did that, everything was dialed right in and honed in to just like a laser-like accuracy on your throttle response, on everything else, your steering. So I think, you know, for me, that was really cool to see. I don't know, you guys probably want to take a look at this motor in here that Randy was talking about, and you can kind of see what he was saying, how it's laid back and it's back in the chassis. Typically you'd see a motor, for people who don't look at them very much, you'd see the motor tilted this way and straight up. The heads would kind of be here instead of back under you.
V-Force reeds, you know, V-Force is the #1 reed manufacturer in the world. Like that's great stuff. And you can see where those reeds take the air in and the exhaust out the top.
Yeah, most people in the power sports world, whether it's sleds or anything else, they know the name V-Force, right?
Yeah,
It's been around forever.
Pretty known for quality.
Another thing that Randy's been telling me about, guys, is this right here. There's some magic that's happening here, so I want to let Randy explain that to you guys.
Yeah, so one of the latest developments in snowmobile as well, not latest, but that a lot of companies are moving to is a belt drive. So the belt drive reduces weight, obviously, because you haven't got big chains and gears in there. You're running a neoprene belt, but it also helps in the performance. So you get instant throttle response. That belt is always there and tight, and so you get that quick blip of the throttle. Also, CMX Powersports was the first person to partnership with Sled Shed cooker can company out in Boulder. We had the first one on our Catalyst 600.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting, and we're looking forward to the year.
So this is kind of, and it's just educate me a little bit. This is kind of doing away with the old chain drive, diamond drive, all that kind of stuff that people were having trouble with over the years.
Yeah.
That was cumbersome to work on, and it was, you know, it was expensive to work on.
Yeah.
This here, from a service standpoint, that just makes so much sense, you can't ignore it.
Yeah, right? And performance as well.
Yeah.
Quicker revving, way better throttle response. It's a game changer for sure.
Yeah, awesome. There's been a pretty big deal made about this composite polymer running board on here. Can you, I can see here, Randy, that, you know, it's got wicked sized holes for snow removal, but what can you tell me? What is the big hype about it? Is it just that it's lighter?
Well, so your running boards are kind of your main contact with your snowmobile when you're riding. So if you put your foot on that board as well, that board is super grippy.
Yeah.
So compared to the old style steel boards, the new polymer boards are super grippy, and they're light and they're not metal. So the problem with metal running boards, you're out in the mountains, you've got some heat coming off your exhaust, it's melting the snow, it's creating all that problems.
Yeah, I've seen it.
You end up filling your footwells with snow and ice.
Yeah.
So that's a big issue. These new boards on the 600s were just fantastic. They're clearing the snow. You also can see, because of the strength of the polymers, you can have a really big gap in there.
Yeah.
Where before you would have had to have a little bit of a cross in there just to provide that strength.
Well, that's the first thing I noticed when I was looking at this other sled. I
Yeah.
can slide my whole hand through this hole.
Yeah.
And I imagine being a polymer composite, snow's not going to stick to that nearly as much either.
No, it's fantastic. And the other thing that you can do is in the old chassis and in the old way of doing things, if you happen to damage that running board, it was a bunch of rivets and screws. And,
you're dealing with your whole tunnel.
Yeah.
Right?
So this one here, you can actually remove these running boards. I think it's 3 screws, and that whole running board just comes off.
Oh, beauty.
And so if you want, you can put a nice different color one. So that's one thing Cat did as well. It came with a bunch of color-coded bumpers and running boards, and so you can make this sled unique to you.
Just adds to the cool factor
Yeah,
that much
you
more,
come out
right?
of the cabin and there's 10 of these sitting there. You know that's mine because I got green running boards, green bumpers. The other thing Cat is kind of getting known for is their QS3 Fox float shocks. You can put the attack system on this sled, and what that allows you to do, when you're riding down the trails, you want your suspension set up a little stiffer, so when you go into the corners, you're not getting
that dive,
getting that roll. Yeah. So, but it's always been a compromise, because when you're out in the powder, you want that roll, so it plays through the trees nice.
Yeah.
What Cat came up with was a way to make these suspensions adjustable off your thumb. So when I'm coming down the trail, I hit a few buttons on there and it changes it to a stiffer suspension so I can really hustle on the trails.
Yeah.
When I get into the powder or the trees, I can just dial that down.
Yeah.
Same thing, a lot of tree riders will find they get out into the trees and they're boondocking down, and all of a sudden, oh no, we're at the bottom of this hill, we got to get up there.
Yeah.
And everybody knows you want that sled to be light and dancing in the trees, but when you need to go up that hill, you don't want that front end pulling. So same thing, you can lock out your back end just from your thumb, go climb that hill, hold your front end down, and you're safe. And
no more
and you're
getting
riding
off your sled, getting your hands all cold, crawling around in the
trying to
snow.
knock all the ice out of the bottom to adjust that suspension. It's all done right up on the handlebar.
That's super. Right back to the whole design of the sled.
Yeah.
You're not having to crawl around on your knees to change your suspension. That
super user friendly. Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
When you're introducing a sled like this, you know, some of the other manufacturers, they went through a real bad run of belt problems.
Yeah.
And then some were starting on fire and breaking plugs. And so, you know, I agree with you. I would rather wait an extra year, get it where it's right, than have it rushed to market and let our customers test it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know our customers are super stoked about it. The Snow Check guys are just get me my sled, and you know, we're doing our best to build as fast as we can and get them out for everybody, because this is the next great thing in sledding, in my opinion, and I think Randy would agree with that.
Yeah, 100%.
So in closing, I think what we'd like to say is we're very impressed with the sleds as dealers, as riders, and our customers so far are just wickedly excited about it. If you want to see all the specs on it and the different ways that it comes, you know, you guys can do that. So we're not gonna kill you with specifications, but we really just wanted to talk about things that we kind of found like really unique and awesome, and we were proud of Arctic Cat for doing and taking the time to do that correctly before they release. So I guess in closing, good job Arctic Cat, good job Randy.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody.
See you on the snow.
Take care. Thanks for watching, guys. We sure appreciate it. We hope you all like our videos. Smash subscribe, comment. We'll try to get back to you with any questions you guys have about the videos or the machines or anything that you ask, really. So don't forget to give us a like, a subscribe, and comment if you like. Take care. Have a good one.